IDERA SQL Inventory Manager is a solution that will help database administrators with managing their entire Microsoft SQL Server landscape. This product was originally developed to discover any instances that the DBA may not be aware of. In many of the environments that our customers are working in, we ask them, what are the number of instances that they're responsible for monitoring, managing in general, or that they're responsible for. And a lot of times, DBAs don't have a good handhold on what that number would be. So that's why we developed SQL Inventory Manager, and its initial purpose was to reach out, scan the network, and determine what instances exist on that network. Now, over time, we have evolved this product to do a number of other things, like being able to group and sort the instances for reporting purposes, adding licensing reports, BI service discovery as well, patch analysis, health check awareness as well. The health check is a capability that basically answers those questions that a DBA may ask when they find out that, hey, there's a SQL instance out here that we weren't aware of. And those questions might be like, is a database filling up, or transaction log filling up, or has a database ever been backed up? Has this database over here that looks like it might be holding sensitive data, has it had a recent backup or an integrity check performed? So some of those basic health check awareness questions, we can analyze each instance and the databases on the instance to throw red flags for that. Well, today what I'm going to show you with SQL Inventory Manager is really focused on one aspect of the tool. But if you're interested in looking at the product, you can set up a formal demonstration with the IDERA SE team, the sales engineering team. Just go through your account manager to get that set up. But if you download the software, the first question that may come up is, how do I discover the instances? And the way we do that is we go to the administration section, like this. And the navigation in this product is very simple. You have basically 4 tabs for navigation. But the administration section is where you go to configure the tool, set it, and then pretty much you forget about it after that, because once it's configured, it will do its discovery process on a scheduled basis. So when we do the discovery, we're going to go over here to the Discovery Center options first to configure the discovery. So let's go to the Discovery Center options. And it is pretty straightforward. Originally, when the product was developed, it used the browser and ODBC scan capability, reaching out and scanning using browser availability or browser advertisement of the SQL instance. And as you can see here, you have the browser service scan scheduled on a certain day-to-day basis or weekly basis, or ODBC scan as well. You can also plug in specific credentials to use to connect to the SQL instance each time that it discovers an instance. And then what that will do is basically run a quick query to make sure of what the SQL version and edition is for that SQL instance. So you can choose what credentials you want to plug in here, so it can kind of go down the list and try those credentials for that instance. You can also have it enabled fully qualified domain comparison for discovered instances in case you have different segments of your network with maybe perhaps the same overall name for an instance. Probably you wouldn't, but if you did, you could use fully qualified domain name comparison as well to keep that uniqueness. And again, there's that checkbox to log into the SQL instances and only show instances whose server version can be validated, meaning that through those credentials that are being passed, it's able to run the query and check the SQL Server version. If not, then it will come back with a not applicable for that instance, and then we would just ignore it from that standpoint. And only show instances that can be discovered by at least 2 discovery types, 2 discovery methods, which in this case could be browser and ODBC, but there are many other options available now that we've added to the product over the many years that it has been around. So some of those options, we'll just flip to this computer scan tab, and we have these options. First of all, the computer scan on my environment is set to off, but you can have it run daily or weekly, and it will scan IP address ranges. You can plug in those IP address ranges and put in a specific user that you want it to utilize to make the connection on those instances, on those IP addresses. And then we have domain scan as well, which basically will connect into Active Directory to discover instances as well. So go ahead and plug in your domains and your user accounts that will have access to those domains to run the ADUC query. And you can also do just a single domain scan or full scan as well. And as we go down the list here, there's also the options to run SQL Server Resolution Service Discovery, the Service Control Database as well, discovery through Service Control Database. Remember though, with all of these different discoveries, that they are tied to certain restrictions. For example, if we're going to do like the Windows registry scan, obviously that's going to go through RPC, through port 135 to make that connection. So if you have firewall restrictions or permission restrictions around accessing the registry, then that would probably not be an ideal way to do the discovery. And likewise with WMI as well. So just keep those types of restrictions in mind. And also you can do port scanning. I have it set for the basic 1433 port scan here, but you can put in your custom configured ports if you want to as well. And then we have some of the same options that we saw previously down here at the bottom for fully qualified domain comparison, logging into the SQL instance, show instances whose SQL Server version can be actually validated, and only show instances discovered by at least 2 methods of discovery, like WMI and registry, or service control database and WMI, or discovery using IP address and Active Directory as well. And if you need to plug in additional credentials, there's always that link here where we can click on and plug in additional credentials to use as part of that discovery process. One more thing, this is all private network scanning, but you have the option to go to the cloud as well and plug in your Amazon account or Azure account and basically reach out to those cloud environments and do a discovery for reporting purposes as well. So those are some of the flexible options that are available through SQL Inventory Manager to do a discovery. There are also options to just flat out submit the SQL instance, add the SQL instance by name or multiple instances by name, or import SQL Server instances by CSV file as well. Those options are over here on the left-hand side, again, of the administration console. Hopefully this has been instructional to you as far as how to configure the product to do its discovery process. If any questions come up along the way, the IDERA sales engineer team is available to assist you, and we can get on a more formal discussion and answer any questions you may have moving forward with testing out the product. If you want to know where to get the product, again, it's at www.idera.com, and you go to the products section, look for the IDERA SQL Inventory Manager, select the free trial link, and submit some basic information, and then we will present you with a software download that you can then immediately install with a license key already embedded, so you don't have to wait for us to call you or anything, and you can hit the ground running with using the tool right away. Hopefully this has been informative and instructional. So and with that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this presentation, but keep your eyes open for other instructional videos that come in the near future. Thank you.